Hey guys, what up? Bevan here in the Black Forest, and I want to talk about overcoming approach anxiety. And I'm going to talk about a technique that's pretty unusual and that you've probably never tried before. But I guarantee that if you put this into practice and make it a habit in your life, you're going to see amazing results, not only with approach anxiety, but also with any other action where you're going to feel that initial pang of fear or anxiety or just resistance or even pain. On top of that, if you make this a habit, your life is going to change substantially for the better, in ways that you probably can't even imagine. So, pretty bold claim there, I guess, but let's get into it. So what is approach anxiety? Well, it's that feeling of resistance that we feel whenever we see an attractive stranger, at the bar or on the street, and we're thinking about saying hi, maybe trying to get their number if we like them. And it's that feeling of resistance that we feel that basically keeps us from taking that action a lot of the time. And this is universal. Every single one of us feels it, maybe to varying extents at varying times, but we're all going to feel it to some extent. And it's because it stems from our limbic brain, this ancient part of our brain that's evolved for millions of years to basically steer us away from threats and towards opportunities. So how do we overcome this problem? Well, the first step is to better define what exactly approach anxiety is, because it's a little bit more nuanced than what I described before. And it turns out it's a two-part process. The first part is that initial pang of anxiety, that initial pang of fear that you feel. And this is going to be about 20% of what most people consider to be approach anxiety. So it's actually just a small minority of this overall negative feeling that we get. And again, it's going to stem from the limbic brain, so the subconscious part of the brain that we can't control. So there's nothing we can do to really avoid this initial 20%, this tip of the iceberg aspect of approach anxiety. So we just have to learn to live with it and to not judge ourselves for having that feeling, because it's universal and beyond our control. That said, the second part of approach anxiety comprises about 80% of what we experience as approach anxiety, that whole experience of negativity and fear surrounding taking that action. And luckily that whole 80% chunk is completely avoidable. So the second aspect of approach anxiety occurs a few seconds after you get that initial pang of fear, and when your rational mind, your neocortex, your more recently evolved part of your mind, starts rationalizing and confabulating different reasons for why you should not take that action. And obviously what these rationalizations are. She has a boyfriend, or I'm going to make an ass out of myself when she blows me out, or whatever. And identifying with these negative thoughts, identifying with these rationalizations is the really destructive part of approach anxiety, not that initial pang of fear or anxiety. It's when you start identifying with these thoughts and basically playing along with this charade that your mind is playing on you is when you really get into trouble and you descend into this downward spiral of despair. So it's really important to avoid this second part of approach anxiety as much as possible. And luckily, that's what we're going to talk about now, is how to overcome that. So how do we overcome it? We're going to direct our awareness away from those thoughts. We're not going to identify with those thoughts. And the way we're going to do this is to literally direct our awareness to the sensations of breathing in real time. So you're really just going to put your attention on those sensations in your nose, in your chest, and in your stomach immediately after you feel that initial pang of fear or anxiety. And by doing this, you're going to enter the state of presence. Now that sounds like a bullshit hippie kind of thing to say, but actually what I mean is that your mind is not going to be on your past failures. It's not going to be playing these future projections of what if scenarios, but rather it's going to be grounded in your body, in the present moment. And this is going to enable you to better take action, because you're not going to be identifying with these negative thoughts, which otherwise would be sabotaging you. And that's it. It's a really simple technique. That said, it's not always easy to implement, especially if you've never trained for it. You can't really just snap into it if you've never exercised this muscle of being able to return your attention to something specific. And so we have to train for it. It's just like if you watch mixed martial arts on TV or whatever, and you try to memorize a move, you can't just bust it out if you ever get into a fight. You actually have to be training for it. You have to have some basic level of fitness. You have to be trained, and you have to basically be doing this regularly in order to actually make use of it in a critical moment. And it's the exact same thing with this. So we're going to train for this in 3 stages. The first stage is to develop basic concentration, because most people can't concentrate on anything, much less through sensations of breathing, for any length of time at all. And if you've ever meditated, you know this to be true. So the first step is to learn how to meditate. Sit down for 20 minutes a day in a quiet room with no distractions and meditate. Focus on the sensations of breathing. I have other videos on that. You can research how to meditate. It's not that hard. And do that for a month straight if you've never done that before. 20 minutes a day for a month. And after that, you'll have a basic ability to return your awareness to the sensations of breathing. And after that, the second stage is to start doing meditation dynamically. So as you're doing different things, as you're walking down the street, as you're washing your dishes, as you're doing anything that you would normally do, try to return some of your awareness to the sensations of breathing concurrently, so as you're doing that activity. And that's largely what this channel is about, is bringing your awareness to those sensations of breathing as you do other things, a practice called continual breath awareness. So check out the other videos if you're interested in that. And the third stage is just to keep your momentum up, just to be doing this regularly. So really, over the course of a day, start in the morning, do it more and more and more. So by the time it actually matters, if you see an attractive stranger or whatever at the bar, you're ready to basically just take action. And don't only build momentum over the course of one day, but also over the course of days, weeks, months, and years to basically deepen your practice, strengthen that muscle of being able to return your awareness to something specific and away from these thoughts that would otherwise be sabotaging you. And that's it. That's how we're going to train for this. So it's actually not that hard once you start doing this regularly, and you'll start to see benefits very quickly. Even if you've never meditated before and you just meditate for a month, your brain is going to change in substantial ways, and you're going to see real concrete improvements. But what I've really described here is a recipe not only for cold approach or whatever, but also for just improving your life in general. Because it turns out that almost every negative feeling, almost every negative emotion that we have, whether it be pain or resistance or fear, anything like that, or anxiety, all of these follow that two-part model that I described for approach anxiety. So there's going to be that initial pang of pain or fear, depression, or whatever it is, and that 20% tip of the iceberg stimulus is then going to be followed by that 80% of the pain, which is created by your mind, created by identification with those thoughts that start to crop up as a result of that initial stimulus. So it's really good to be aware of this and really be aware of it in real time and bring your awareness back to the physical sensations in your body, which is really a lot more real. It sounds like this hippie bullshit meditation type thing to do, right? But it's actually a lot more real and more of a reasonable thing to do than to actually play along with these negative thoughts that are just going to put you in an unresourceful state and keep you from taking action. So keep that in mind when these thoughts about how ridiculous meditation are crop up. And this practice is beneficial for a whole lot of other reasons as well, which I talk about on this channel. One of my favorites is that it gives you freedom from your conditioned responses. All of these habits and patterns of reaction that we've developed and ingrained into our minds are really hard to break out of. Changing our behaviors, creating new behaviors, and so forth is really difficult. But when you start being more mindful and you start incorporating continual breath awareness and start getting some perspective on these thoughts and understanding the nature of your own thoughts better, it's a lot easier to break out of these preconditioned habits, preconditioned routines, and to start new behaviors. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you really put this into practice. Just give it the benefit of the doubt and try it out, especially if you've never meditated before. I can say that meditation and doing continual breath awareness especially has been a huge thing in my life, and it's just given me so many benefits that's why I created this channel, was to just share this with you. So try it out and let me know what you think in the comments, and also subscribe if you enjoy this. But yeah, that's all I got for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Hey guys, what up? Bevan here in the Black Forest, about to shoot a video on approach anxiety, and I thought I'd just show you where I normally do my videos. This is the little path I take right here, and I usually shoot right over there, not too far off the main little road here, as you can see, but still far enough to get a little peace and quiet. A lot of thorns growing, but it's worth it for the solitude. So anyway, talk to you soon.